I never made it, but I know what it takes. I'm motivated by a mix of emotion. Got my statement, and I'm reading it slow so I can understand it fully. Appreciate my standing, go out of this world.
Guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me by now, my name is Trini Lovely. So today we're going to be talking about that 12 zodiac signs. And if you know anything about my previous videos, you'll actually see that I actually started the 12 zodiac signs already. And I actually started on Aries, and one of the reasons I started on Aries is because I started off the lunar calendar. So now we're actually on Cancer, and what I want to do is always call out like the great qualities of each sign, and basically also talk about like the dark side of the sign, which is more like the weakness of the sign. So Cancer, right? They're basically masters of compassion. Like, this is such a wonderful quality to have. They're nurturing, they're natural born healers. They're supportive, they're compassionate, they're family oriented, they're sensitive, they have that maternal energy about them. So this sign is actually a great sign. Like, the attributes, the qualities is so good to have. But also the dark side of like the weakness of the sign. They may be very attached. Like, they may be people that actually attach themselves really quickly to someone. Dependency, passive aggressive, really needy, right? So the element of a Cancer is water. And this sign is also a sign that is feminine energy. The planet that rules this sign is the moon, which is the giver of light in the most of the darkest moments. So some people might say that it connects to Isis, right? The color that associated with the sign is orange and yellow. So when we think about the sign, and if anyone is into the tarot cards, I didn't do it for all the signs, but I just started I think on the previous sign associate with the Chariot, right? So let's talk about this sign for a minute. Cancer archetypes are the great mother of the womb, right? So the Cancer is called the queen of the zodiac signs, right? So she's the queen of all the zodiac signs because of that mothering personality that the Cancer has. People who are Cancers have a very mothering personality, very nurturing personality. They basically, whoever they're around is going to benefit from that unconditional love, that care, that compassion that they have with the people that they meet. Isn't that awesome? I welcome every Cancer as a friend. I will love that because you know that I'm ruled by Venus, so I will enjoy that Cancer people around me. Know that the sign of Cancer starts on June the 21st, and basically in the month of June on the 21st is known in some earlier texts that it's considered the gateway of mankind, because that is the time where the sun actually reigns at the fullest of its light. So the metaphor behind that, as far as the gateway, they basically feels that the emotions, empathy, all these things, as far as having that water element in your, as a Cancer, actually is achieved by that archetype energy that has that burnt and motherhood personality, that dominance over the burnt and the motherhood. So they're super compassionate, so much caring, such kind, loving souls, right? But then we know that the weakness of the sign can actually fall into being a little bit needy, and that could be with relationships and with friends, right? So I remember having a friend who was a bit needy, and I'm not even too sure what sign she governed, But now, as I got much older and I look back at the signs, and I'm just like, okay, everybody kind of fit their personality towards their signs. They all may not act the same. Everybody may not act the same, but they all share similarities with the way how they actually present themselves to the world, right? Okay, so let's go back into those the sign of Cancer. Let's take a little bit look at the Cancer energy, right? So before we go into that, let's think about who is a Cancer, like what is the sign about, right? So according to you know, tax, right? And when I say tax, it's information, data, knowledge, right? The only two signs that receive full heavenly influence in out of the 12 zodiac sign, one of them are Cancers. Only two signs that actually have this influence that's ruled by the heavenly bodies, right? Because the remaining signs, all 10 remaining signs, are governed by the 5 planets, right? So each sign energy is ruled by a specific planet. For example, like Venus and Libra is ruled by Taurus, right? So Venus influenced both Taurus and Libra. And Mercury influenced both Gemini and Virgo. And Cancer, well, is ruled by the moon, right? And I didn't get into those other videos as yet where when I say it's with the heavenly influence, for now I'm just going to mention Yesod, right? So the moon is compatible with Yesod, but I'll go into that video at another time. And let me continue going on. The moon influence is magnified through Cancer, right? And this is why Cancer actually also falls underneath. Don't keep in mind, Cancer also falls underneath that water element, right? Because the moon actually raised the tides, right? So when we think about the moon, the symbol of the moon constantly have many different faces, right? And the moon kind of basically governs over the earth. Like it actually watches over the earth, right? It sounds crazy, but I'll tell you about that another time, another video, right? I'll go more deeper into that. But the moon actually governs over and watches over the earth, right? So the same thing when we think about that Cancer, right? That Cancer sign is that motherly sign, right? So she is that motherly sign that actually kind of have that nurturing, always watching, observing, compassionate, that unconditional love, right? So it's the same thing when we correspond that energy that is coming from the moon into the sign of Cancer, right? So Cancer personality is known to be very unpredictable, inconsistent, right? Lack of security, being cautious, being apprehensive, right? So that's one of the reasons why they're so needy. They need that reassurance, right? Look at the, like, what should a person who's a Cancer work on? Well, as far as them working on, because they actually have some great attributes, but if they want to work on some things, they need to be working on the fact that they're the uncertainty, the reinsurance part of always constantly needed to be reinsured. And basically this is why they're so needy, right? So they have that needy way of wanting to just connect and kind of just need that reinsurance all the time. Like, for instance, if you were with somebody who's a Cancer and then you kind of always need to kind of reinsure that person consistently, that person may come across a bit more needy than the rest of the other signs, right? So when we think about the moon, right, with the Malakut, which is the physical world, which represents Earth, it's considered underneath these 5 senses, which is hear, taste, smell, touch, right? right, and see, right? And in the physical world, we are limited, right, by the physical laws, by the laws of the universe. We're limited by these physical laws that's within our universe. And since we are limited by our own bodies, as far as like debt in our physical world, where there's an order of debt, of like a life cycle, the energy of the moon that's being influenced also deals with these limitations of govern over that physical world, right? So it's kind of this uncertainties of how the order plays out with mankind onto the physical realm. And when it's like that, keep in mind the Cancer energy is coming from the moon, right? So the moon is affecting the Cancer's energy. So if the moon is the observer watching of this uncertainty that takes place over the Malakut, then imagine why now, right, the energy of people who actually fall under the sign Cancer has this uncertainty, right? Has this basically apprehensive personality sometimes. So that's the best way that I can explain as far as the energy with connecting to the moon, to the Malakut, and actually taking it back into the signs as far as the Cancer, right? And I hope you guys got that. And like, if you didn't get it, I have no problem commenting down below and using another metaphor as far as my metaphor that I use as far as the moon governing over the Malakut, which is Earth. And I'll make other videos as well, kind of explaining about, the whole system as far as Yisa, Malakut, the moon, and so. All right. So, thank you for watching, and please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and feel free to give that thumbs up if you like. And I'll continue working my way up to the rest of that 12 zodiac sign. And I'm a little bit under the weather. I'm feeling kind of sick, but I wanted to drop a video. So I hope this was a good explanation for you guys. I know it was pretty short, but I hope you guys got it. All right. So thank you.